bit earlier.
Welcome, #PHVote 2013 Rappler.
Today on Rappler, Senate President Drilon's trust and approval ratings drop following the pork barrel scam. Senators approve a resolution to realign the pork barrel, but House Speaker Belmonte disagrees.
And after 2 years' worth of projects that have helped perhaps millions of our countrymen, it is receiving intense criticism from some parties. In fact, I was perplexed to hear that some people equated the DAP with PDAF.
And President Aquino defends the DAP, saying it drives the Philippine economy.
Hello, I'm Natasha Gutierrez sitting in for Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. Senate President Franklin Drilon's trust and approval ratings drop following the controversial multi-billion peso pork barrel scam. Pulse Asia's latest survey shows only President Benigno Aquino and Vice President Jejomar Binay score majority trust and approval ratings among the country's top 5 officials. Aquino gets a 79% approval rating, up 6 percentage points from 73% in the June survey. His trust rating is at 76%. Binay gets a 77% approval rating and a 74% trust rating. Pulse Asia notes Drilon suffered the biggest drop in approval ratings. From 62% in June, his rating goes down to 50% in September. The survey firm says the pork barrel scam appears to have, quote, adversely affected public perception on the Senate president. Drilon was dragged into the controversy after photos circulate showing him with alleged scam mastermind Janet Lim Napoles. But Drilon says Napoles is only an acquaintance. In the House of Representatives, Speaker Sonny Belmonte gets an approval rating of 37% and a disapproval rating of 19%. Of the 3 institutions covered by the survey, the Senate, House of Representatives, and the Supreme Court, only the Supreme Court scored a majority approval rating. None of the 3 enjoyed a majority trust rating. Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno's approval rating goes up 5 percentage points from 37% in June to 42% in September. Senators unanimously approved the resolution initiated by Senate President Franklin Drilon to realign their pork barrel to help calamity victims. On Tuesday, the lawmakers approved Senate Resolution 302 after Drilon assured them of its legality. But they asked Drilon to reword some phrases so the resolution will not be misconstrued as a violation of the temporary restraining order issued by the Supreme Court on the fund releases. In September, the court stopped the release of the remaining pork barrel for 2013 while it is deciding on its constitutionality. Senators want to augment the President's Calamity Fund with their abandoned pork barrel for rehabilitation efforts. A press release from Drilon's office says there is still 3.18 billion pesos in Senator's pork barrel. Drilon says the remaining pork barrel is considered abandoned and can be converted into savings, which the President can realign. House Speaker Sonny Belmonte disagrees with Senate President Franklin Drilon and says the remaining pork barrel cannot be realigned as calamity funds. Belmonte says, quote, how could you actually be reallocating or spending money which is the subject of a temporary restraining order? Drilon earlier said the remaining pork barrel is abandoned and can be converted into savings. Asked whether this would be a case of the Senate preempting the court's ruling, Drilon says the Senate is an independent body that can make its own decision. But Belmonte says the pork barrel can only be realigned as savings once the court rules it is unconstitutional. President Benigno Aquino hits criticism over the government's Disbursement Acceleration Program, or DAP, and says it was the stimulus program that drove the country's economic boom. In a speech at the Foreign Correspondents Association of the Philippines Forum, Aquino criticizes the media's framing of the DAP, saying it was, quote, unjustly and oddly vilified.
And after 2 years' worth of projects that have helped perhaps millions of our countrymen, it is receiving intense criticism from some parties. In fact, I was perplexed to hear that some people equated the DAP with PDAF.
The president points out the timing of the criticisms, suggesting it was intended to distract the public.
All of these attacks came after plunder cases, among others, that were filed before the Office of the Ombudsman against a few well-known politicians.
He also says the true issue, drowned by the background noise, is the alleged misuse of lawmakers' pork barrel. The Budget Department says the DAP is sourced from savings and was intended to boost economic expansion. The Aquino administration was forced to explain details of DAP after it was revealed millions of pesos were released to lawmakers after the impeachment of former Chief Justice Renato Corona. Critics called the release a bribe or incentive. Aquino credits the DAP for helping drive the Philippines' economic growth. He says it also helped the Philippines win investment-grade status from renowned credit rating agencies. A cell phone video of MNLF hostages during the standoff in Zamboanga City has surfaced. The video is consistent with the account of two hostages earlier interviewed by Rappler's Patricia Evangelista in the short documentary Santa Catalina. Patricia files this report.
Friday, sakto talaga na Pecha 13, Friday the 13th talaga. Yun sabi na araw talaga yun, malas talaga yung araw na yun.
George Ando, his girlfriend Michelle Candido, and their toddler son Ethan were on their 5th day since being held hostage by the Moro National Liberation Front. This video, acquired by Rappler, shows hostages forced into the center of Lustre Street by the MNLF. Both Ando and Candido can be seen on the ground, clutching their son Ethan.
AFP forces at that time were in the corner of Lustre Street and Santa Catalina Road. And then we saw that there was someone taking a video standing up when everyone was already went to prone position.
Army spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Ramon Zagala confirms the video was shot Friday, September 13, shortly before the military shifted tactics from containment to calibrated response.
The mere word calibrated, we wanted to be safe in terms of making sure that none of the hostages will be hurt.
All physical harm, he says, result from the MNLF's actions.
There were some civilians who were possibly harmed because they were placed in the back blast portion of the 90RR that was fired by the MNLF Miswari faction.
Zagala denies any sort of assault directed at the hostages, but the hostages' narrative contradict him.
Nung paglabas namin dun sa kanto, binabakbakan kagad ng military.
Lahat na po, paputok ng baril, bomba, mortar, pinapaputokan na po sa amin. Wala na tapos silang pakialam kung civilian na po yung natamaan nila.
Nasa gitna ng daan lang ho kami.
Tapos bigla na lang po may pumasok na 3 tangke ng military sa harap namin. Tapos sumigaw po ulit kami ng ceasefire, ceasefire. Tapos yung tangke po nila nagpaputok dito sa site namin. Tatamaan po yung isang matanda doon. Lumabas po yung bituka. Isa pong hostage din po. Labas po talaga yung dugo. Parang gripo na po yung dugo niya.
They were never the target of our operations. Our mission there was to rescue them. Our target are the enemies, which are all armed. None of them are targets. And the troops we use are our very best. If they were hurt, definitely not because of the armed forces. Our mission is to rescue them.
Zagala believes that the armed forces were successful in their goal to protect hostages.
None of those in the video were killed.
Included in the video is 2-year-old Ethan.
Bale, nung time na yun na grabe na talaga yung crossfire, nakita ko yung may manhole. Siguro, dun siguro yung pinaka-safe na taguan.
Yun na po, pumasok po kami sa Hebrona. Tapos bigla pong may pumutok na malakas.
A bullet smashed through the concrete cover and found its way into Ethan's brain.
Tumama po dito sa kamay ko. Tapos lumalabas na po yung dugo. Tapos nawalan po siya ng malay.
Ethan Ando died 1 day later. Zagala says no deaths among hostages occurred after the calibrated response.
We were given the mission, 2 things to do. First is to rescue all the hostages. Second, neutralize the enemy. We were able to rescue all 195 hostages, and we were able to neutralize more than 500 MNLF Miswari faction. That alone is a feat worthy of emulation of any armed forces in the world. And that, I can say, we are very successful.
Patricia Evangelista, Rappler, Manila.
Manila Mayor Joseph Estrada will send a formal apology to the Hong Kong government for the 2010 hostage-taking incident that killed 8 tourists. This comes in the form of a resolution passed by the Manila City Council. Earlier, Estrada said he would visit Hong Kong to apologize for the incident. The Hong Kong government demands a formal apology over the deaths of their citizens who were held hostage by a Filipino policeman. Philippine authorities acknowledge the police mishandled the situation, but President Aquino refuses to make a formal apology on behalf of the national government. Aquino says the act of one individual should not be construed as the act of the entire nation. Manila City Council Secretary Luch Gempis denies the apology is intended to embarrass Aquino, who is a political rival of Estradas. Let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 4, regional power India advises the Philippines to be patient in dealing with China, even after Manila took Beijing to an international tribunal. In an open forum after a lecture at the Foreign Affairs Department, India's Foreign Minister Salman Khurshid says the Philippines and China can, quote, ring-fence the difficulties but continue working in areas where there is potential for convergence and growth. Khurshid visited the Philippines for talks on bilateral cooperation. At number 6, Apple unveils a refreshed lineup of tablets at its event in San Francisco Tuesday, Wednesday in Manila. The new iPad Air adapts the form factor of last year's iPad mini with a smaller bezel and diamond-cut chamfered edges. At £1, Apple is calling the new model the lightest full-size tablet in the world. Apple also brings the Retina screen to the iPad mini. The new iPad mini with a Retina display fits 3.1 million pixels into its 7.9-inch screen. And at number 10, an online Islamic sex shop selling condoms, massage oils, and perfume opens in Turkey, becoming the first of its kind in the predominantly Muslim country. The halal sex shop website says its products are entirely safe and in compliance with Islamic norms. Turkey has so-called erotic shops in its streets, but the country's prime minister suggested last year they renamed themselves love shops. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Red Turnip, a new theater company, showcases the musical Closer and promises to shake up the Philippine theater industry. G. Tanji reports.
I'm here at Whitespace for the Gala of Closer, the maiden production of Red Turnip, the latest and most daring theater company to open in town.
Red Turnip's maiden production is Closer, an acclaimed play by Patrick Marber. It drew in a big crowd on gala night, proving the Philippine theater scene is ready for more unconventional story plots. Musician Mark Abaya portrays Daniel Wolf, an obituarist. He says Red Turnip pushes the envelope in terms of material.
It's a talkie play where they have to be vulnerable and the audience also has to be sensitive. They're forced to deal with the emotions of the actors and what we put them through.
Film and TV actress Angel Aquino also makes her stage debut with the Red Turnip Theater Company as the photographer Anna. She says stage has a completely different set of challenges.
How different am I here? Very nervous and someone who's treading on uncharted waters for me. But I will give my best. I am trying my best to really give justice to Anna and to the material because it is a wonderful piece.
Theater veteran and actor in Closer, Bart Gingona, says productions like Closer remind people that entertainment is not just about fluff.
Why is Red Turnip doing a play like this? And why is it important? Our entertainment in this country gravitates towards what is shallow and easy. So sometimes it's important to remind people that the theater can be much, much more than that.
No stranger to theater, Chris Villonco multitasks as a producer, show buyer, and an actress as she portrays a stripper named Alice.
This is my most daring, yes, it definitely is. I think it has pushed me to great lengths. I've lost 15 pounds because of this. Anna, for some reason, is always the one who pushes me to the edge.
Ana Abad Santos, Red Turnip founder and actress, directs Closer and says shows like this deviate from the norm of commercial musicals.
I really feel we put up this company because we really wanted to put up daring pieces of theater. We want to rock people. We want to rock your life. I feel that theater is here to shake us up.
Red Turnip's Closer ends this October 27 at the Whitespace, so don't miss this bold and courageous theatrical production. Chitanji, Rappler, Manila.
Every story on Rappler has a mood meter, which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page, which crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories with the most clicks. Let's check out today's mood navigator. Several different colors on today's Mood Navigator. Let's see. Let's start with the one right in the middle, a red circle. India, telling the Philippines patience pays when dealing with China. This story was in the newscast. This has 80% of readers feeling angry and 10% feeling amused. Over to the left, the lone yellow circle. This story, House approves 2.268 trillion budget for 2014, has 31% of readers feeling afraid and 25% feeling happy. And over to the right, another red circle. Yesterday's top story, no more cash left of Malampaya Fund. This has 86% of people feeling angry and not much else. All these stories contribute to the mood of the day. Today, most people are angry. That's Rappler's newscast for today, Wednesday, October 23, 2013. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Natasha Gutierrez. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.